Hello and welcome to the Nexus. Today's show is a face-off with the founder of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. So we're focusing on three things today. Is the hoodie-wearing Zuckerberg just another media mogul in disguise? And what's on his mind? Is Facebook keeping us connected or destroying our society? A former executive says he feels tremendous guilt. And to like or not to like, what does it take to be a big hit on social media? That's all ahead here in the Nexus. Hello, I'm Matthew Moore, and today in the Nexus we are looking at Mark Zuckerberg and his Facebook empire. I'm joined by a panel of guests, including the parenting and lifestyle vlogger, Nilly Dahlia, the broadcaster and psychotherapist, Lucy Beresford, and the social media marketing expert, Lucy Hines. So, now we are all gathered. Let's begin with the man himself and whether he believes the company he founded is simply a technology platform or something else.
You know, we're a technology company, but we're not a media company.
Facebook has almost become like a utility, almost a social utility, and that it's sort of in the background. It's part of almost a power grid. You're there whether you want to be or not.
You're not just getting your news from around you, but you are connected to and getting updates from people all around the world. But we're not a media company.
We will make exceptions to our community standards for the benefit of newsworthiness.
But we're not a media company.
It's a tab that's going to be on your Facebook app as well as on desktop where you can go and watch videos.
We're really proud of our role as a technology company and not a media company in this. Think about a media company, it's, you have people who are producing content, who are editing content, and, that's not us. We're a technology company.
Facebook snags an executive from MTV as part of its push to create original content.
Facebook reportedly looking to create original TV shows.
$3 million per episode. Did you read that?
Is Facebook acknowledging that it is a media company and not just a technology platform?
They are a media company of the modern age, and so they have to start behaving a little bit more like that.
I think it's the most diverse form of media that has ever existed. I mean, if you think about the way that media worked, in the last generation and before the internet, there usually weren't that many TV stations or newspapers that had the kind of news that you would want to watch.
But you also see these other moments. You see, the #1 live video of the year was the Chewbacca mom.
Facebook for sure.
We're also evolving as a service.
That's not a traditional technology company. It's not a traditional media company.
I think what he's inching towards is taking responsibility.
We have a big responsibility to make sure that these tools are used to create the most benefit for people around the world.
Wow!
It's quite infectious. Let's go to Lucy Hines now. Lucy, if I can ask you to focus on this question about whether it's a media company or a tech company, why are they flip-flopping about this at Facebook?
Right, well, I guess the issue is of definition what a traditional media company looks like. And if you think about the business model behind a media company, it is predominantly based on advertising. And if you think about newspaper sellers, anybody who buys a newspaper doesn't cover the cost of printing and the production costs. So the advertisers who advertise on that newspaper obviously pay for the actual copy production. So the same applies to some extent in Facebook, but we realize the idea in Facebook, whilst on account of the revenue generation, Facebook could be considered as a media company.
Yeah, let's go
but on account of
Lucy
content
Beresford.
production, they don't necessarily have that.
I'm sorry to cut you off there. We'll come back in a minute, Lucy. Let's go to Lucy Beresford for a moment. Lucy, you're a broadcaster. Do you consider Mark Zuckerberg to be a media mogul in the sort of shape and form of Berlusconi or perhaps Rupert Murdoch? It's just that he's much younger and wearing a hoodie?
Well, he's definitely part of a different generation, and therefore he understands how the people that he reaches out to and the people who are using his platform actually get their material, get their information, and use it. So he's probably more tapped into that, but at the same time, he, as you saw from the clips, is very adamant that their model is much more of a technology company, that they're a platform, that they are a means by which other people can put their information out there. And to some extent, I agree with him. It would be like Silvio Berlusconi or somebody who owned a newspaper actually canvassing its readers for its stories, because of course that's what Facebook is about. It's about you yourself as a user putting your stories about your life out there.
He's
so
sometimes
it's more of a hybrid.
He's sometimes considered the world's most powerful editor. If he was to admit that the company is some sort of media company, does he then have to pay attention to the regulations that apply to media companies?
Well, I'm afraid I'm not a regulator, so I don't really know. But all I would say is, the issue about editing is, do they actually monitor the content that goes onto their platform in the way that journalists and particularly editors of newspapers or even TV companies do? And that's probably the issue. He's saying, look, I've got this platform and I allow anybody to put material out there. I don't censor it. I don't tweak it. I don't give it a particular angle. I'm just providing the platform, and I guess that
and of course, we have got somebody with us who provides content on Facebook, well, particularly Instagram, really. Nilly Dahlia, you're contributing, really, to this online marketplace in a way. What is the product you're selling, so to speak?
I'm selling sort of myself and my parenting lifestyle, actually.
And do you find that you're edited in any way by the Facebook police, so to speak?
No, I've had no warnings, no nothing. It is exactly what I put up is up. But the question is, does it get shared to the right people?
Well, how do you find out about that?
It's all the algorithms. You can tell by how many views you get and all the posts and like the reaches.
Okay. And why did you start with Instagram in the first place?
Because where I live is in the middle of nowhere, and I just didn't have that community, so I seeked for it online. So
you get to find people of like-minded priorities and interests via this technology?
Yes.
But there is a criticism, Nilly, that people can now, from the comfort of their own living rooms, they can find people of like-minded thinking, but actually it becomes a sort of an echo chamber where you're only really seeking the views of like-minded people, and it never really progresses or integrates into other modes of thinking.
I think it does, because when women become mums, they join that circle, so there's like people that don't do it. And I get so many young followers that follow me because they don't see often a Bengali woman with a non-Bengali husband, so they like to see that, and it kind of like is refreshing for them to see.
And that wouldn't be available to them were it not for Facebook and Instagram. Fair enough. Okay, Nilly, well, we're going to take a look at Mark Zuckerberg's other possible ambitions, and people have been asking for months if he is getting ready to run for president. Now, they suspect he might be because he's been crisscrossing America over the past few months, promoting the virtues of Facebook and community. So you can see there through those little circles where he's been. I mean, that does look pretty much like the pattern of someone canvassing for the vote. Is he going to run? Here's what he has to say about that.
All right, so I'm doing these trips to go around and meet folks, and a lot of folks are like, oh, he's trying to meet people. He must immediately be trying to run for office. And it's like, what? Like, the rest of what I do isn't important or relevant? Like, it's like, there's no reason for me to actually understand people? It's like, we're building a community here. It's not that small, it's good.
Okay, let's go to Alexei Hines now. Alexei, it's perhaps an unfair question to ask you if you think he's going to run for president, but I'll ask it anyway.
Well, I guess the short answer would be we wouldn't know, but yes.
Well, let's put it this way.
He could be one of the most popular presidents if he wanted to.
Sure. I mean, Facebook played a part in Obama's victory, possibly in Trump's victory. Would he be able to harness Facebook to his own political benefit, or would that be seen as going beyond the pale?
I guess if we can see the Obama's sort of the first sort of social media president, so to speak, so somebody who actually harnessed the power of the crowd and was able to raise quite a lot of funds, well, through many people who were able to do small donations. That certainly is at a great advantage, or puts Mark Zuckerberg at a great advantage, because he will understand how the process works. Okay. And he will certainly have the necessary foundation in terms of funding. Yes. Yeah, true. I think the running for the American president, you need to have deep pockets, and he will certainly have those.
Oh yes, oh yes. Lucy Beresford, I mean, he's actually, the reason he stated is that he wants to know what ordinary Americans want from Facebook. Do you think that's a reasonable strategy for him?
I think it's an essential strategy, but as Alexei has said, you know, that's also what one would hope from a politician, that a politician kind of understands the people that they might be representing. So it could be in the forefront of his mind, or it could be just an idea that's percolating in the background. I mean, I think this is what's so interesting about the psychology of people who do run for office. You could argue that we have a very Twitter American president at the moment, so maybe it wouldn't be a bad thing to have a candidate who is extremely familiar with how to use Facebook.
Okay, thank you, Lucy. Let's move on to part 2 now. Is Facebook destroying society? A former executive says it is.
You know, people are unpredictable, and so we want to psychologically figure out how to manipulate you as fast as possible and then give you back that dopamine hit. I feel tremendous guilt. I think we all knew in the back of our minds, even though we feigned this whole line of like, there probably aren't any really bad unintended consequences. I think in the back, deep recesses of our minds, we kind of knew something bad could happen.
Well, Facebook says he hasn't worked for them for 6 years, and that we take our role very seriously, and we are working hard to improve. We've done a lot of work and research to understand the effects of our service on well-being, and we are using it to inform our product development. So is the site a force for good or ill? Here's the argument.
Hey Nikki, did you see Facebook change its slogan to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together? Nice.
Are you kidding? We're not even talking to the people right next to us.
But it means I can keep in touch with my friends all over the world.
Matt, you don't have that many friends. No one does. And who needs an update on what you had for breakfast?
Oh, come on, there's important stuff too. What about the Facebook revolutions? There'd be no Arab Spring without social media.
Nah, it was just a tool. Even the revolutionaries say that.
The same tool that united us to topple dictators eventually tore us apart.
Well, it's good for news at least.
Fake news? See BuzzFeed's analysis. Fake stories outperformed real news in the final 3 months of the US election.
BuzzFeed? Not sure about them.
BuzzFeed, which is a failing pile of garbage.
Well, at least it keeps me amused. I love these little videos.
You're so gullible. Facebook knows how to keep you hooked and is making billions off us.
How do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible? And that means that we need to sort of give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a photo or a post or whatever.
Hey Nikki, have you seen this?
Well, let's go to Lucy Beresford. Now, Lucy, you're not only a broadcaster, but you're also a psychotherapist. Can you please tell me what they're doing with this dopamine shot they keep talking about?
So when you have something that really gives you pleasure, there's a kind of like a part of your brain that lights up with excitement. And the more your brain does that, the more your body craves that dopamine hit. And you can get it from, all sorts of activities. But in particular, what they've realized is that if you get lots of likes on your Facebook feed, if you get lots of retweets on Twitter, even if you just get lots of pings on your phone from WhatsApp, people communicating with you, it gives you that little buzz, which is really nice, until you realize that you need another one. And the problem is you're going to need more and more and more. And actually, of course, it isn't a real thing to have people liking your tweet or validating you by you having lots of friends on Facebook. Is not a real way to function in the world.
So it just keeps you coming back and spending time more and more. Let's go to Nilly Dahlia. Who better to ask about this? Nilly, you seem a very cheerful person. Is that because you're constantly getting little drops of dopamine from Facebook and Instagram?
No, I don't think so.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. I do use social media, obviously, to promote my brand, but I feel like I have a happy, like, medium level on it. I don't upload every day like some people.
Yeah.
I'm distracted by my kids, which helps.
But you did confess you were up to 2, 3 in the morning sending out little posts and what have you?
Well, I'm more editing my vlogs at that time. But I don't feel like I am what Lucy just described about getting that endorphin rush. Yes, it does feel nice, but I don't feel like I keep craving it.
But you said it feels nice. How does it feel when you get a really big response and everyone loves what you're doing?
I take that as a positive, and I feel like if this is the content my followers want to see, maybe I should do more of that eventually.
All right, fair enough. Let's go back to Alexi Hines at a perhaps more serious aspect of this, although I don't know, dopamine's pretty serious. Fake news. Fake news. There was a BuzzFeed analysis that said fake news actually outperformed real news leading up to the election of Donald Trump.
The idea is that things that are more extraordinary and perhaps are less real, they become more viral. So we did some viral analysis, viral marketing analysis, and one of the things that is making people obviously share and like a story is something that is perhaps has the biggest element of happiness and surprise or disgust. So the more divisive the story is, the more controversial it is, then it becomes more viral. So
we've noticed that with some of our content as well, Alexi.
To be more popular.
I want to mention to the viewers actually that
there you go. So that's where you're going.
Yeah, we've learned the lesson. A Facebook executive, the one right at the beginning actually, who said it was destroying society, has also said he wouldn't let his children watch it. Now, there's a recent survey of 5,000 school children in the UK, and it found that nearly 2/3 would be perfectly happy if social media was never invented, it didn't exist. And we also have another graphic here saying more than half of them feel close to addicted to social media. And again, more than half said they feel less confident about their own lives because of what they're seeing about how other people are living. Let's go back to Lucy Beresford now, as I say, a psychotherapist. Lucy, these sort of figures and facts and figures, you're familiar with them? They ring true for you?
They ring true, and they're really alarming because, yes, I think there is an aspect of addiction to a lot of our behaviour now because we get so excited and we forget that the relationships that we're having with people online and on social media aren't the full story. You know, these people that we know and that we think we know, they don't necessarily have our best interests at heart because they wouldn't necessarily know us if we walked down the street. And also you come across things like children, cyberbullying. There's a big initiative now with the government here in the UK to look at sex education so that it includes knowledge about sexting, because we're having to really equip the younger generation as to how to use this information, which looks like it's making us connect with people around the world and stay in touch, and isn't that marvelous? But it's doing so in a really invasive way, and also it's making us very impulsive. So instead of learning about delayed gratification as we grow older, we're actually becoming more impulsive and less. What would
be a remedy to this? What would you propose that parents do to help their children?
You have to have a social media protocol in line in your home, not just for your children, but for you as grown-ups too. So you have to demonstrate for your kids that you are capable of not looking at your smartphone after 8 o'clock. You know, if you set that rule for your kids, you have to follow through for your own behaviour too.
Okay, let's go back to Nilly Dahlia now. Nilly, as the only provider of content here, well, the one that we are inviting you onto the show for that purpose, I'm afraid it comes down to you. If I could ask you, do you present a very positive aspect of your life only, or do you put it in context and say, actually, you know, things aren't all perfect in Nillyland?
I show the good side and the bad side of parenting. I've shown the loneliness side of it. I've shown the good stuff. So I show all of it. I show me without makeup, with makeup. When my son makes a mess, I show it all.
Okay, fair enough. Now, here are 3 suggestions that the school children who were asked in that survey actually would like to make for social media. They're saying 71% say they'd like to see less advertising. Around about 61% would like to see less fake news. And we have the last one there. 49% would like to see greater privacy. Well, let's go back to Alexi Hines now. Alexi, do you think that the social media executives, including Mark Zuckerberg, are actually going to take any notice of these attitudes?
Well, I think the Anxiety UK is one of the charities that has been doing this survey over a number of years, and I think it's a standard survey that anybody can download. And actually, if your listeners are interested in this, I believe it's downloadable from their website, so anybody can actually survey themselves. But yes, it's a stream that has been going for a long time, and obviously it. As any new technology, if you think about the innovation that we had with cars, the first time the cars were on the roads, we didn't have any rules of how to use them. So obviously there were far more accidents
the children's
than there are now,
suggestions
or
about they'd like
fatal.
to see less advertising? It's a very tempting thing for Facebook just to keep making more and more money, isn't it?
Yes, well, unfortunately, that would be hitting them where it actually hurts, because advertising is their revenue stream. So that would be very unwelcome news. But ultimately, as things are growing up and companies such as Uber has been found to be a taxi provider, Facebook will have to be also recognized as something more than just for any new business model that doesn't fit in with the old-fashioned thinking. We will have to think about the ways that they are regulated. And I think for cyberbullying, that was one of the examples where they tried to implement the reported buttons and make it much more straightforward for people to report inappropriate content.
All right, Alexi, thank you for that. Now we've heard from the experts. Let's hear from the streets of London.
I think it's just the culture, unfortunately, that we live in now, the society, where if you're not on Facebook or you're not constantly checking or updating your status, you're kind of seen as almost a weirdo.
I think it's good in that it connects people and you can stay connected, but I think it's bad in that I think it becomes very addictive.
It's definitely addictive, even from myself. It's just easy to get wrapped up into that. But at the same time, like I said, it's good for like events. Like I'm a musician, so it's really good to promote yourself.
Yes, it can have a negative effect sometimes. If people start comparing their lives to other people that seem to be having a great time, you know.
Sometimes I'm jealous. If someone's in like Florida and I'm just stuck at school, I'm quite jealous, but I guess I like looking at other people's lives.
Well, the argument about whether it's benefiting or harming society could go on and on. But what's indisputable, it's getting more and more popular. Over 2 billion users. So what's everyone looking at? Here's the top 5 posts of 2017.
In at 5, a post that's perfect for the clumsy, repair hacks. Around 260 million people have learned how to fix a smashed plate using milk. And why use a cloth for dusting when you can use a bagel? At 4, a clip from America's Got Talent helped this singer go viral. On average, 12.8 million Americans tuned in to the show, but this post from supermodel Tyra Banks helped it reach an audience of 270 million people worldwide. At 3, a video for all you animal lovers. Cute animals seems to be what social media was made for after all, with 383 million people watching this clip. In at 2, Organized Chaos. A video shows you how to fold clothes like a pro and other household chores. 410 million homes should be all the more tidy as a result of this video. And at number 1, the most viral Facebook post in 2017, people are awesome. While half of 18 to 24-year-old users check Facebook as soon as they wake up, this video shows you what you can achieve if you actually get out of bed. Backflips, table tricks, high kicks, and all kinds of hijinks. 522 million people, that's over 500 million, watched these guys last year, making it the most watched Facebook post of 2017.
Well, it does make you feel that everyone's doing something more exciting than you, doesn't it? Let's go to Nilly Dahlia. Nilly, 500-odd million views there. What's the most you've ever had?
Oh, I think 200,000 or something.
Not bad. What do you need to do to get that many views and likes and shares and all the other things you would crave?
It's something, you've got to share something either raw, emotional, heartfelt, or very like different and controversial.
Can you predict what's going to go viral?
No.
Well, if you could, I suppose you'd be doing it all the time, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Is it in the back of your mind that if you're doing a post and you fall down the stairs, this might be a big thing for you?
Ooh. Probably not.
Yeah, well, don't try it. Let me go back to Alexei Hines for a moment. Alexei, is it possible to monetize all these videos? Are people getting a lot of money out of this?
Well, absolutely. I mean, obviously, there is a whole generation of vloggers, or would like to be vloggers, who see this opportunity not necessarily just on Facebook, but on a host of a range of social networks such as YouTube, where advertisers pay for to watch your video. And obviously, if you've reached a certain subscriber rate, there are some people who are earning handsomely and become sort of influencers, so to speak. And once you're an influencer, you can charge from a brand £10,000 upwards to mention their brand and do a haul. So, for example, you go shopping at a certain supermarket,
what kind of influence?
That supermarket will be paying you quite handsomely.
Alexei Hines, you get the last word. Thank you so much for joining us. Also, Lucy Beresford and Nilly Dahlia, thank you also. Well, that is it for this week. Next week, we're looking back at an extraordinary year, 2017. But that is all for now. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.